Morning all, we're live at last. Sorry about the delay. I spent last night tweaking my system and yeah, after Monday, so we had a power cut on Monday which ended the stream prematurely, but just before the power went off I looked over to my other monitor and I could see that OBS appeared like it had crashed. So I don't know, maybe the stream had already gone before the power cut even took place. I don't know. It's hard to say. But then last night I thought I'm just going to go out and just do a flight off stream. But I'm going to get OBS like recording it. And then sure enough, within 5 minutes it crashed again. So we've updated drivers, we've updated the OS, we've updated to the latest version of OBS, we've updated my Nvidia broadcast software that does my noise cancellation on the mic. Everything that could possibly be updated has been updated, but of course that means that inevitably something breaks. And that was all my audio stuff this morning, so that's all been put back now. So hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear the music. If you can, that means that it's sort of working. I hope anyway. Right. So also we're using the experimental build of the A32NX today. I figured that'd be quite fun just to give it a go. Try something a bit different. I feel like we've been in the stable build now for basically the entirety of this channel. I just sort of want to have a look, see what's up. See what the differences are. I think I'm right in saying that they did have VNAV in it at one point, but it got taken away. So I'll have a look, see kind of what sort of state it's in, and get ourselves over to Belfast. So we're doing the Heathrow to Belfast. So for those that weren't with us on Monday before the stream crashed / had a power outage, we'd flown from Belfast to Heathrow, and the plan was to go back. And then sort of midway through the taxi, it all fell to bits. So we're having another go today. Morning, Brian. How are you? How's the weather? It's not so good here today. I hasten to add. Windy as well. Very windy. I must say though, the weather in Malaga was fantastic. Could not argue with it down there at all. Except for one day. One day it was like just all this mist came in and visibility must have been like 200-300 meters for the majority of the morning. It soon cleared up. Right, so fingers crossed we don't get any crashes, fingers crossed the frame rates don't dip. I was looking through the log files of because when OBS crashes, which is what I suspect it did, it leaves a crash log, and sure enough there was a crash log with the exact sort of time and date that I thought it had crashed at. So it did crash. Looking through it, I'm wondering whether my GPU was just overstressed. Because looking at the RAM usage, I was outside of my 8 gigabytes of VRAM, so I don't know. I don't know. So suffice to say, I've been looking at a 4070, but we'll see. 18 degrees, some cloud, that'll do. That's just the ticket. Right, let's get this. Let's get the plane started, shall we? So we'll do batteries 1 and 2, and we do have external power. Fairly certain we're at Terminal 5 today. I'm not entirely that familiar with the layout of Heathrow. Not overly familiar with Heathrow's layout. Okay, APU master. And we wait 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Then APU start. While we're about it, get the tablet fired up. Let's bring in that flight plan. Let's see what the deal is. Oh dear, wind. Wind. 16 knots. Why is all that beeping at me? I don't know. So already we've got some differences on the experimental build. Don't usually get those beeps on the stable. Yes, it's quite windy coming into Belfast. So the plan is we're going to land on runway 07. So if we're landing at, the wind is at 90 degrees, that's a 20 degree difference to us and 16 knots. That could be a bit of fun getting down there. Really got to work on my crosswind landings. I really do. Here comes the bridge. Oh yeah, straight into the plane it comes. Love it. Alright, baggage and catering. Presumably we've got all of that stuff. Yes, we do. It's a nice day for it. Are we doing live weather? Okay, yeah, fine. Much sunnier in Heathrow, obviously, than it is where I am. I'm still slightly jealous of that landing into coming home. It was so good. Going out to Malaga, it was a bump. That was a Ryanair special, but coming home, you could not fault it. If I'd done that on the sim, I would have been like jumping out of my seat in celebration. Perfect, right on the touchdown markers. Smooth as you like. Praise where praise is due. Right, that all seems to be going well. So, let's hop back up here. Get our navs on, shall we? We should be able to get rid of external power now. Should probably get some fuel actually. We download what we need, which isn't much. There we go. Maybe I should start making all of these sort of things real time. I don't know. Like the boarding and the fuel, that kind of stuff. And the navs. Because the navs can take ages to come on, depending on where you are.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
There we go. Okie dokie. So what's local pressure here at Heathrow? 1025. Let's start doing some of this. ATSU, AOC, init pres. We'll pull down that info from sim brief. So 54 minutes in the air today, which is good. Go to the init page, init request, flex temp minus 48. do 0 fuel weight. Confirm the fuel on board. Cool, cool, cool. Nothing unusual about today's takeoff, so we'll do flaps 1. What was X10 minus 48? That gives us a V1 of 130, rotate speed of 131, and V2 135. Transition at 6,000. Alright. Onto the flight plan. So we're going to use runway 09 right. Using the... there it is. Ulti1J. What does that stand for, Ulti? Usually it's something to do, isn't it, with like local landmarks or something to do with the culture of the place that where you're flying from. Just trying to think what that might be. Ulti. Ultimate? Ulti... yeah, I don't know. Alright, let's get that one in. We'll put our ND into plan. Okay, so it's taken off and doing a twist almost instantly. So we'll fly that first bit by hand, I think. It's fine, so we'll close that discontinuity. And then what about Belfast? So it wants us to go... so SimBrief is saying runway 07. Okay. Do an RNAV into 07 then. What is going on here? What is going on here? Oh, morning, Nick. Sorry, I didn't see you there in the chat. I was too busy looking at my ND. My apologies. So we're going to come in this way. I'm going to take manual control at this point, I think. Bring us out. Yeah, we'll come out around here. Because this is trying to bring us in too quick. I mean, if we turn like that, it's going to be ridiculous. Look at it, it's still jiggling. I think the plane is just confused. I think it's confused. So if we zoom out a little bit. Yeah, we'll take manual control here. Bring ourselves out. Probably to about here. Then do that sort of teardrop turn so we're back on final. AA7i. Then we can start tracking our way down. Might even do a visual approach actually. Could be quite fun to do a visual one. Seeing as we don't have ILS, I know it's going to be it's suggested an RNAV. I think it was RNAV, was it? RMP? Forget. Whatever. Could be quite fun to do a visual. There we go. Where are we flying back? I don't know yet, Nick. We'll get to Belfast and we'll see what's going on there, and then look at what time we have left and see where we can perhaps go. Our chat's filling up now. Morning, Jalise. Right. So that's out of sorted. Got local pressure. So basically 6,000 in the window. 6,000 makes sense. So we go 6,000. Then we stay at 6, go up to 10. This looks a little bit VNAV-y, doesn't it? Where it's got all of these flight levels. Because we're on the experimental build. Oh, you like the setup tour? Cool. I'm glad you liked it. I always feel oddly vulnerable posting videos like that on the channel. Basically anything that isn't a live stream or like a montage of me landing a plane. If I have to talk and use an actual camera, I get a bit like, ooh, don't like this. Here we go. Look, so look, it's got all the little altitudes all the way down. Look. That's cool. That looks an awful lot like VNAV, doesn't it? Will it actually behave like it though? Because I thought they took VNAV out. Well, there's one way to find out. That's to do it. Okay, let's get predictive wind shear on. Lock the door. Get ourselves ready for a pushback, I think. Okay, let's get passengers seat belted. Put our beacon on. Do stroke to auto. We will sort out our services. There we go. So the plan is we're basically going to taxi back and then, or push back rather, and then taxi right in the direction that the camera's currently facing. So we'll meander down this way, loop around, and then off we'll go. So as for pushback, we will get our tail sort of over here, I think. I think that's reasonable. On which subject, turn that on. I've uninstalled that pushback toolbar thing because when I went to switch to the experimental build of the Airbus last night, first thing it did was it detected I had that installed and it was like, this causes performance issues and other such issues, you should uninstall it. And seeing as it wasn't really working for me anyway, which in fairness that could have partly been my fault for not updating it to Sim Update 12, but I thought, you know what, let's just get rid of it and see if it helps in any way not having it. Tugs on, that's good. So, parking brake off. Back we go. Oh, did you, Brian? That's interesting. Okay. I don't suppose you've tried GSX Pro? I'm sort of on the fence about whether getting that might be a half-decent idea. Is the Phoenix harder to fly? So I've got a friend who's recently got the Phoenix. They're saying that it's quite hard to land it versus this plane. I've made a mess of this, haven't I? That'll do it. Why has it just stopped? I touched my joystick. I think that might be why. Let's get some engine started, shall we? Good, engines are starting, so we will tell Tug that we're finished. They've got flight directors on both sides, auto brake set to max, arm the speed brakes. Everything's looking good up here, no white lights. Turn off the APU. Oh, Jalise! You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. It's my first ever dono. Unbelievable. That's it, you're famous now. First dono on the channel. Very, very generous. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, right, what am I doing? Put that back into normal. APU available, TK standby, parking brake on. I feel like I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? That's it, Shalice. You're now in Air Not channel history. First ever dono. Seriously, thank you very much indeed. You didn't need to do that, but I very much appreciate it. Very kind gesture. What am I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm not using a checklist anymore. I'm trying not to. Let's do takeoff config. That'll probably tell me if I've messed something up. Oh no, okay. Airways production, good morning, how are you? I am very well, thank you very much. Very well. Hard to complain if you're simming on a Wednesday morning. Hard to complain. Oh, does this work now? I bet this works now, doesn't it? Terrain on ND. Because we're on the experimental build. Yeah, we're testing out the experimental build today. For those that weren't here at the start. So we're sort of... I'm interested to see what the differences are. I guess I'll put it on that one too. Right. Let's do some lights. Taxi lights on. Okay. Parking brake off. I always find it weird, like, if you compare the A320 to the 737. Because literally, we're moving now, and all I did was take the parking brake off. It's almost like when you drive an automatic car. Those of you that have, it's like if you don't press the accelerator, simply by removing your foot off the brake, the car will generally creep forward. It feels very similar to that. Whereas the Boeing, it will not move an inch until you give it an absolute ton of throttle. And I noticed that in real life too. I wondered whether that was like a PMDG bug almost. I remember the first time I flew it, I was like, wow, it really does feel like you need to give it an awful lot to get it moving. But then sure enough, on the ground in Malaga, as you start taxiing away, it's like you really hear those engines move up. Like they really, I guess like 20-30% they must give it. You sort of hear them sort of roar and get going, and then you slowly feel the plane start to move. Bevy's in the chat. Morning, Bevy. How's things? A320 is better than 737 in my opinion. It's weird, I don't really have a hard preference either way. It's more that I feel more comfortable in an A320. Like if you've ever seen me stream the 737, it usually ends in me getting really stressed out and making a mess of the landing. So, yeah, on that basis I'd probably say I prefer the A320 as well. Oh, here's Heathrow's wonky taxiway. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. How did that get through, like, the QA process? I mean, this is Heathrow Airport, one of the biggest airports in the world. I have to give it a load of throttle now to get over this. Therefore, possibly one of the most kind of prominent airports in the game. And there's that. Windsock's looking a bit full this morning. It is windy here in the UK today. If I'm streaming and I wake up and I know it's windy, I'm a bit like, oh, today will be fun. Right. Dare I say it, I think we're ready. I think we're all good. Everyone ready? Seatbelts on. Tray tables up. Let's go and see what Belfast has in store for us. So holding it on the brakes. Away we go. Quite a bit of right rudder required today to keep us on the centre line. And rotate. Oh. Why did the gear go up automatically? I did not press anything then. That's weird. Possible that it's taking the up position from my Boeing yoke with the landing gear switch. I didn't do TCAS. That's what I knew I was forgetting. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, lever back into climb. So we're flying this first bit by hand. Just following those flight directors. Alright. So let's see if we can enable autopilot. There we go, 6,000 in the window and it's now adhering to that, that's good. So we need to be above 3,000, above 5, then at 6. So we'll stay at 6 for now. That's fine. I think with the experimental version, it's indicated on the flight plan screen when you'll reach cruise altitude and where you need to descend. Yes, I think we're right. I think we're right. I'm just completely unfamiliar with what to look for because we've not done it before. But yeah, I think you're absolutely correct there. Oh, right, so standard altitude. So hopefully we're going to start climbing again, because by putting it into standard that then affected our one day, Bevy. One day. So is VNAV not included in this? It was my understanding that it was, and then they maybe took it out. Come on, clouds, out of the way. Because if we look down here, I mean, this all looks fairly standard, but look at this, look, 6,000, 10, 12, 16.6, 214. This all looks kind of like VNAV calculations. So that 10,000 one, is that a constraint? Probably is, isn't it? Well, maybe not. So wait, let's click into it. It would seem not. Okay, so maybe one way to test it would be for us to, what's our cruise today? 320. Well, let's pop in 320. See if it holds at any point. Don't think it will though, because none of them are constraints. Up and away. That shadow on the engine. Yes, kiss. Coming up on 10k, there we are. So, lights off. Messages out as well, why not? Ground spoilers are still armed from takeoff, we'll clear that. And we've got a clear page. I'm not really seeing any difference about turning this on or off. Maybe it's because the terrain there isn't any terrain worth putting on the system. I don't know. I'm sure when I watch other people fly, this is all like multicoloured. I don't know. This is all new to me, this experimental build. This is the first flight in it. But so far so good. Hey Sky! Welcome, welcome. Right, now I need you all to talk me out of buying a new graphics card, because I started looking last night. And it's never good when I do that. I need you all to type in chat, don't do it. Welcome back, Nick. I'm going to turn the volume down a touch. So it's more background than screaming in our ears. Cheers, Jalise. I know I could count on you. I was actually looking at the 4070 non-TI, so the one that's just, I think it came out like last week. From what I can understand, it's somewhere between a 3080 and a 3080 Ti in terms of performance, but it has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and it gets me access to DLSS 3.0, which Flight Sim is ready for. In fact, they use Flight Sim. That's basically like the poster child of the launch. Also, there's the power draw to be considered. So you're getting 3080, 3080 Ti levels of performance, and those cards draw 300 watts of power, sometimes more. Whereas this one will use 180. And it could slot right into my case. I wouldn't need to use that new Nvidia 12-pin high power connector. I could use a standard old 8-pin PCIe connector. Just one of them it needs, which is less than what my 3070 currently needs. I've got two going into my 3070, so it shows how much more efficient. They're about 580 in the UK, so pounds. 580. Apparently my 3070 is still worth about 300, so you'll be looking at 280 to upgrade, which isn't the worst. I'm just conscious that I'm getting sort of hemmed in a little bit by the 8 gig on my 3070. Not just in Flight Sim, in other games too. Like I was playing Call of Duty last night, I got some weird stuttering, and I went into the graphics settings, and they give you like that little bar at the bottom that tells you how much VRAM it predicts it's going to use versus what you have, and I was over it, so I was like, oh, okay, fine, time to lower settings. The other option is that I spend more, which I don't really want to do. But then, so you sort of go up to maybe like a 4080. But then I'd be in a position where A, it might not fit in my case, so I might need a new case, and B, I'd probably need a new power supply. So it starts like snowballing quickly. And then the middle ground option is a 4070 Ti, which is roughly a 3090 in performance. Depending on resolution, depending on game, yada yada yada. Usual disclaimers. I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad you liked the setup video, Nick. Right, what's going on up here? We should probably keep an eye on things, shouldn't we? Seeing as we're in a new build of the plane that we're a little bit unfamiliar with. Okay, so I think that little marker there, I think will represent our top of climb. Yeah. So after Elvos, there it is. So does it give us a top of descent? Come on, give us... Yes, it does. Incredible. I don't need to use that calculator every time. Happy days. Hey, morning, Ashi. So apparently top of descent, looking at Sim Toolkit Pro, is somewhere between the coast of Cumbria and the Isle of Man, so over the sea. I'm curious, if I were to sort of set the altimeter to like 2,500, put it into managed, would it then step us down? So I'm not sure we have VNAV on this plane yet, even in this experimental build. I thought we did, and then it was taken away in some form. So I don't know in what capacity it remains, if it remains at all. So, top of climb is very, very nearly upon us. Yeah, about 16 miles to go. Okay, that's top of climb. So what will happen? So are these just indicators, or are they what the plane intends to do?
Gentlemen, once again from the flight deck, your captain speaking. We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As you begin to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your seat belts clear from the aisle, as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley cards shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating to the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
So, for argument's sake, if I was to set this to 3,000 feet, click managed, would it do it? Yeah, it's going to, isn't it? Okay, don't do that. So it's not quite at... It's not quite like the PMDG, is it? Like the 737.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination.
We have not begun our descent.
Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach.
I could show you, Brian. Hang on. At the risk of breaking immersion, let's put on dev mode. Now this is going to freak out, isn't it? There we go. Now I can debug, display FPS. So actually I've got VSync on at the moment. So I've told it to... go at 50% of my monitor's refresh rate. And given that we've got a 60 Hz panel, it's gone for 30. So it could actually be like 38, 40. It's hard to say really. You'll only know if it's less than 30. You'll only know what you're really getting if it goes less than 30. That's the thing. K 60 would be very nice, but I do wonder if it's worth the cost of getting there. If we go outside, still 30. You can see it fluctuates a bit as we go in and out. And probably when we move views. Yeah, there it goes. Just dips a little bit. But not massively. Let's get rid of that for the moment. Where's that? Is that Manchester? Looks like it could be. But then my geography of the north of England is not great. I mean, my geography of anywhere in England isn't that good, to be honest, despite the fact that I live here. Tell you what we'll do, Brian, when we come into land, I'll put the frames per second on again. I could tell that on the ground in Heathrow it was struggling. It's struggling a lot. But then it always does. Heathrow's like, it's always a struggle. So what someone advised me, Brian, with the object level of detail is, weirdly, if you make it higher, it so if you go from 100 to 200, it actually increases the radius at which stuff is loaded in. Therefore, as you approach an airport, all the stuff on the ground is loaded in when you're further out from the airport. Therefore, when you come on to final approach, by that point everything should be loaded in. Therefore, you don't get all the stutters with everything trying to load in while you're on final, or short final. And it'll vary on the airport, I find. Like if I go, like Belfast is probably going to be okay, because I think it's just like an AI generated airport. But if you're like Heathrow, LAX, JFK, you know, the big handcrafted ones, might be different. Alright, so how far are we from top of descent? We got a minute yet, haven't we? Actually going to tell us? I think it wants us to start now, actually. So it's 9 miles to Belfast. Yeah. There it is. Right, let's enter that destination data. No, Brian, you didn't tell me that. 4090 and a 13900K. 16 gig of DDR. Whoa. Fair play. That is going to be a machine and a half. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Are you building it yourself, or are you having someone do it for you? Is it pre-built? Yeah, I thought that's about right, 4,000 euros. Okay, we're going to need a bit of speed brakes, I think, to get us under control. Only €60 to build it. Yeah, that's good. That's a good price. Right, so what is going on here? What are all these little lines? Speed brake's still out. Okay. But if I put the speed brake away, is the speed going to start creeping up? Yeah. I thought we'd put in the Barrow field. Okie dokie. Two dogs and a cat. Nice. Ah, yeah, you enjoy that system, Brian. That's going to be amazing. That is going to be quite a system. I think we need to decrease our rate of descent. I think I've messed this up completely. Ah, Nebula, good morning. How are you? Oh, Monday was a nightmare, Nick. Absolute nightmare. So I think OBS crashed. Well, I know OBS crashed. But initially I thought we'd had a power cut, which we did. But it turned out OBS crashed prior to the power going out. Because I looked over to my monitor, to my left, and I was like, that's weird. It says my bitrate to YouTube has dropped to 0 kilobits per second. Normally it's like 9,000. And then I moved my mouse to sort of like investigate, and then power went out. So even if OBS hadn't have crashed, the stream would have ended anyway. So there's that to take from it, I guess. But yeah, it was annoying. But there's no point being angry at things you can't control, I guess. I think like power outages and things like that are going to be reasonably common for me in the coming weeks, because roads are being dug up. There's a lot of roadworks going on, lots of diggers. Sooner or later they're going to hit something, aren't they? So Brian, when did you get the PC? I'm excited. I need to know all about it. Okay, so we're 67 miles away. We're at 16,000 feet. 5 plus turn. We'll give it another 10 miles, and then we'll start descending properly. We'll level out for a second. Wow, that's quite a variance. I mean, I don't know what it is in euros where you are, Brian, but I think here you'd expect to spend about 1,800 to 2,000 on the GPU alone. $1,750 I can find one for. A Gigabyte 4080. Alright, 2,000 feet per minute, let's go. let's get our speed down to 250. Right, let's get some lights on. Yeah, you will need a new case, Brian. Those 4090s are huge. Absolutely huge. Okay, so it warns you if your speed breaks out unnecessarily. That's a nice feature. So the airport is literally beneath us. You see, it warns you. It warns you that speed breaks out, but then when you take it up, the speed increases, so you have to put it out again. So I wonder how useful that feature actually is. Oops. Yeah, the nav's got very, very confused, isn't it? I wonder whether it's like a bug or something, because after all we are on an experimental version. Possible. Just check local pressure is what we think it still should be. 1030, that's right. Right, so the plan is we're going to keep heading on down this way. We're going to get ourselves out to here, kind of come across sort of direction 210, almost do like a little teardrop, and then back. Start that now. We will also activate approach mode. Very shortly. Take ourselves down to 210. Okie dokie. Why won't it let me do that then? There we go. Let's get approach mode activated. Do I have any pets? Yes, I have 1 dog, 4 fish, and 2 guinea pigs. Well, I say guinea pigs, mine, they're not really mine, but they come here a lot.
2,500.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Right, where's that airport then? Possibly slowed down a bit too quick here. That was one thing that struck me actually, flying into Malaga. Gear down and flaps 30 were way later than I would have been comfortable with if I were flying in the sim. It's definitely a this is how we really do it sort of thing, you know? What's the name of the dog? Dog's called Harvey. Good old Harvey. Right, so we'll do auto brake medium. On speed brakes. Gear down. Lights are on. Oh, that'll be why your name was what it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Rock Peddler. I have to Google what they are now. Oh, I know the ones. Yeah. Oh, let's turn on the FPS. See what's going on. Yeah, so it's locked at 30. I kind of imagined it would be coming into Belfast. Right, here we are. One last turn. Definitely have a bit of a crab on at the moment. Right. Let's see if I can do it. Looks like us down there. Oh, I hate crosswind landings so much. Right, apologies to you all, I'm going to have to ignore
2000.
chat for a moment while I try not to mess this up, because I really don't like crosswind landings. I'm rubbish at them. Two reds, two whites. Three whites. Need to be lower. So the wind is not as advertised at the moment. It's about 15 degrees the other way. And 10 knots stronger. Okay, we really need to get lower. If I butter this, it'll be a miracle. Okay, the wind is dying off a little bit. Frames are steady. It's always something.
$1,000. 100 above.
Yeah, that feels pretty good. I feel like I've got the crab locked there.
Minimum.
And okay, we're a bit low. Ah. It's starting to feel a bit messy. Okay, feels like it needs to go over to the left a touch.
500. 400.
Yeah, that's better. Right, nose down. Let's go.
300.
Oh, so stressful.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Whoa. That is a lot of rudder to keep us on the centre line there. Wow. I mean, that wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. Oh, I need to work on those. Wow, still needs so much rudder to keep us on the centre line. It's a big old bit of wind. That wasn't bad. That was okay for a crosswind. I'll take that. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over that. It's tricky crosswinds because the only time I really get to fly is when I stream. So it's not like I can just take an evening and just sit and do crosswind after crosswind after crosswind. And they only come up occasionally, so I don't really get a huge amount of time to practice them. So it's always good when we do get one. It's good for me anyway to... It is very cool when you get a crosswind one that goes right. You know, like just right. I was watching 320 Simpilot do one and it's like, oh, that is so good. Like, unbelievably envious. Right, parking brake on. Just waiting for the APU to become available. There it is. Engine's off. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, you're right, Shalise. I guess I could just do that on a stream, although I'm conscious that whenever I do streams like that, I've done streams in the past where it's like, let's practice with the Boeing yoke, or let's practice with the 747. And they never seem to do as well, so it strikes me that maybe people aren't so into it. I don't know. Right, how are we doing for time? It's 11 o'clock. Have I got time to go anywhere else? I can go somewhere. We can maybe get down to Bristol. How long would it take to get to Bristol? Not too long. Right, let me build a flight plan a minute. I'll let you enjoy the tunes and the view out the window. Bear with me just a sec. That's a good point, Brian. We could do Dublin, couldn't we? Yeah, let's do Dublin. Good idea. Right, I'm just going to jump on my laptop and build us a flight plan. Won't be long. Alright, So we got flight plan. So apparently that landing was only 143 feet per minute. I thought it felt harder than that with the noise that the plane made as it touched down. Oh, we'll take that. Okay. Right, flight plan is loaded into the mini map and all that stuff. Let's get the FPS off for a moment. Right. So we're going into runway 10. Whoa, wind is 80 and 17. That's a 70-degree. Ouch. Is there no other runway we could use that's better? Yeah, it would seem not. Okay. So we'll have another crosswind into Dublin. It's good for the practice. It's good for the practice. Rather than try and avoid it, we'll try and practice. Services, jet bridge, baggage truck, catering truck. There we go. Okay, so fuel to get to Dublin is basically nothing. Payload.
Boarding completed. Boarding completed.
Okay. Local pressure is still 1030. Okay, let's start configuring this again. Zero fuel weight. Fuel. $128 V1, $129 VR, $133. Good. I'd be interested to do a replay video of that landing coming into Belfast. Sort of get a view looking out the window, see what it kind of felt like for the passengers, because it felt kind of hard from the cockpit, but I don't know. Sim Toolkit Pro seemed to think otherwise. Right, runway ILS. 10 right. I'm using Nimar. Needs to be here. There it is. So SimBrief says Nimar 1R. Plane says 2R, so I guess the plane is more up to date than SimBrief, which is fine. Alright, let's see what that looks like. We're going to take off on 07 from Belfast. Alright, what's going on here then? So it wants us to go to Belzoo. Alright. So we'll take off and turn ourselves around to Belzoo, I think is probably the best thing we can do. Yeah, this won't take long. There we go. There's our route. That's good. That's good. So we'll get rid of our services. Turn on the pushback system. Is there a tug here? Yeah, there is. Hi Gregory. How do I have the top descent displayed? That is because we're in the experimental build today. First time I've ever actually flown in it. So yeah, we're basically going to be at top of climb, then in 9 miles, or 10 miles, we're coming straight back down. Yeah, so you need to go to the experimental version to get that. So far so good today though. Okay, let's get APU bleed on. Yeah, afraid so. Well, this is what I'm trying to find out today, Gregory, because I've never flown it before. I've always ever flown the stable version because I took the view that if I'm streaming and, you know, doing live flights, stability is the one thing I really, really need. But a friend of mine talked me into it. So we're giving it a go. Okay, let's get some engines on, shall we? Right, let's get rid of tug. Do auto brake to max in case we have a problem.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Good, right, let's get off the APU bleed, turn the APU itself off, taxi lights on. And we will turn our ignition switch back to normal. Here we go. Parking brake off. Right, let's get down to Dublin. This should be timed fairly well, I think, with the time that we have available. I really can't steer when I'm looking around. Yeah, I haven't turned off the announcements, so I don't really know. I don't know, maybe I haven't. I mean, this is like a turnaround, so it's not cold and dark, technically, which maybe is why it hasn't been triggered, I don't know. Yes, it's all a bit of a learning curve, this. Lots of little things that are similar but different. Right, so we're just going to hold short at this stop bar. Okay, so let's get our lights on. That's good. Takeoff config remains normal. That's what we like. So we're going to take off and then sort of move around, do a left turn, then another left turn, then another left turn. Alright. Everything appears normal. I think I've got everything set up. So let's hold it on the brake. And we'll head down to Dublin. Lots of left rudder required. Wow. Feel that wind for sure. Gear up. Levers into climb. We're just going to start beginning our turn round to the left, sort of loop around and then catch that waypoint Belzoo, which is right above the airport more or less. Standard pressure. In fact, now I've gotten the autopilot to do it for us. Why is the plane going too fast? I don't want open climb. How do I get it out of open climb? Ah, okay, that makes sense. I did not have AP1 on. Better? Right. So what's the plan? Flight level 20. How's the volume? Are we thinking the plane needs to be turned up or turned down? Good. Everything's looking good. Just disarm those ground spoilers. It wants destination data already. Wow. Okay. That's okay. Dublin 1028. and 16 and 9.
Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating with the front galley when the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
The radio, Gregory, I'm not sure. If in doubt, I always put 200. I'm just looking at the charts now to see if I can update it to something more accurate. I think reading the approach charts into Dublin, I think minimums are 690. I could be wrong, I need to get better at reading those charts, especially if I'm going to fly on VATSIM, which is the intention. Put that in. How's the wind looking, I wonder? And 16. Ugh. Actually, it's only a 20-degree delta, isn't it? So at about, when's top of descent? Oh, it already wants us at flight level. Let's go down to 8,000 then.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated till the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
Let's let some speed brakes out, I think. Right, okay, so that little green dot appears to represent like our descent profile, I think. Because you notice we were descending quite a lot then. And now that green dot is above us, we're starting to ease off, so I guess we're gonna try and keep that dot right there. Which makes sense, that does make sense. Yeah, so now we're descending at a nice rate. The green dot is right in the middle, which means we're on the profile. The speed is maintaining where it should be. Everything's good. We need to get our speed down to 250 really. I get the impression the plane isn't going to figure that out on its own. It's leaving it a bit late. landing lights on. Where are we going after this? So the next waypoint is 4,000 feet where we got a restriction. So if I set 4,000 in the window, which we've done, will it stop us at 8, hold us at 8, and then let us go to 4 when it's safe? And that is essentially VNAV right there, isn't it? For the most part. So we've got 4,000 in the window, but the plane, it looks like, has recognised that we've got a constraint here of 8,000, and it's stopping us descending, I think. Yes, it is. Okay. And it knows about the 220 knots at the next waypoint. So it's slowing itself down for Akiva. So we got here at flight level 80, 220 knots. So despite us having 4,000 in the window, it's bringing us down, and we're also ready for the first stage of flaps. Good. So what's the plan? 8,000, 8,000. 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. 4. So I guess once we clear this waypoint, it'll let us go. Maybe it'll start descending us, I don't know. Everything's holding steady. That's good. It's a really long way in this approach. Right, what's going on? So we've made it round. So yeah, the plane is starting to descend now. So that's almost VNAV, isn't it? Because really I could have... was doubling? 1028, wasn't it? Yeah. This is all working very well. I'm quite impressed with this experimental build. So we should get to 4,000 right when we need to. Put the landing system on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this fully counts as VNAV, but it's pretty damn good, I would say. Good. How's that wind looking? So the wind has changed. The wind is 100 degrees and we're landing at runway 10, hence 100 degrees. So we might get a straight on headwind if we're lucky, unless it changes the lower we get. I don't know, it might do. It wouldn't be the first time that the sim has randomly loaded in new weather on final approach. Alright, we're going to engage approach mode when we hit that D there for decel. Because we've got quite a lot of speed to lose. Okay, wind is now 90, 88, 90. Almost, yeah, it's not far off, is it? Okay, let's get approach mode on for now, just to manage the initial. Hopefully that'll work. Yeah, glide slope captured, localizer captured. See the plane moving it all. Alright, so now we go on to final. Feels like we're going to need a bit of speed brakes.
$2,500.
Gear down. That'll help. Gear down always helps.
Flight
Lose speed.
Please prepare for landing.
There we go. Now we're into the later stage of flaps again. That speed is just going to start dropping off now.
$2,000.
Very good. aircraft.
One thousand. Hundred above. Minimum.
Well, the wind has changed on us a little bit. 10 knots to the 10 knot
500.
difference. So the Pappies and the ILS are completely in disagreement, which is always good.
400.
Way too low.
Forty. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
There it is. Bit low there at the end. Well rescued, I think. Felt like the ILS and the Pappies were disagreeing there quite a lot on the way down, and that goes back to what 737NG driver was saying. Where actually, depending on which one you follow, you can end up making a bit of a mess of your landings. Because actually you want to be at about 50 feet over the runway threshold, and we were at 40, which wasn't dreadful. But it's weird, the call-out stopped. We didn't get like the 200, 150, it just went straight to 40, which was a bit weird. I don't know whether that's a bug on the experimental build of the plane, maybe it was. Nice and firm, yeah. Nice and firm, that one. 390 feet a minute, so definitely would have felt that one. Yeah, nice and on target. I always feel like I have to sacrifice one for the other. Either it's on target and it's hard, or it's soft and it's late. But that's what keeps you coming back. That's part of the addiction, I think. Constantly trying to get that little 0.001% better each time, and if you do it enough times, then you'll get better. Cheers, Brian. Have a good day. Yeah, let us know about that PC. Be curious to know how you find it. And I am not at all jealous, I promise. Promise. Shall I take this exit here off this runway? I guess we should. Go for one of these up here, I think. Yeah, that's what we'll do. This next one. Okay, that's weird. Those ground markings don't appear to be right at all. I guess we'll go over here. Alrighty. Parking brake on. Yes, Ashy, last one. I'm out of time today, unfortunately. Last one. Just trying to think when I'll be back. Streaming again. I'm hoping I might have some time at the weekend, if not before. But rest assured, I will schedule it all, so you'll know when it's coming up. I feel like maybe we should do a Boeing stream next. Like I've done 2 in the Airbus now, we need to get back into Boeing. Get using that yoke. It's always good fun. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all very much for your time. Thank you, Jalise, for the very kind donation. Much appreciated. And I will see you next time. Take care.